Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Decision Hour. I'm Adam, and I got a great guest for you lined up today. I was fortunate enough to meet this gentleman several years ago now, and I got a ton of respect for this man. He is now the president and CEO of the United States Veterans Chamber of Commerce, retired colonel, U.S. Army, so he's a good guy. Mr. Kevin Brown. Kevin, how you doing?
Adam, how are you? It's good to be on. Thanks for that introduction. It's also been my pleasure to get to know you over the last few years. Appreciate all you're doing to keep the good word going out there to all of our heroes, right? Our heroes in the veteran space.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Kevin, it's been, now you and I have obviously talked offline and whatnot, yep. But for our listeners out there, why don't you share a little bit about yourself and tell our listeners a little more about you?
Sure. Well, I spent 24 years in the United States Army, commissioned as a second lieutenant of infantry back in the 1900s. We'll say it that way, right? Back in the 1900s, and retired in 2011 as a colonel. A number of deployments here, there, and everywhere. I was a battalion commander in Western Baghdad back in 2005, 2006, and a deputy brigade commander in the 10th Mountain Division in the northern province of Kirkuk. After that, my final assignment in the Army was as a garrison commander, where, all of this hard work that is required post-deployment really takes place on the posts, camps, and bases that our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines return to. So I learned quite a bit there about, being out of the fight, right, and all the things we have to do there. So probably a good setup for me to land in this position now as the president and CEO of the U.S. Veterans Chamber of Commerce. In between, I spent 6 years at the Mohegan Gaming and Entertainment Enterprise, which folks in the Northeast probably are very familiar with, the Mohegan Sun Casino in southeastern Connecticut. But it's a larger portfolio than that. We've got casinos all over the country now, and even around the world. We commenced build of a casino on the airport grounds at Incheon International Airport in South Korea.
Wow.
We have a gaming license, the tribe does, in Niagara Falls on the Canadian side, 2 casinos operating there. And recently the tribe was awarded a gaming license in Greece to build an integrated resort casino at the former Olympic Village. Wow. In Athens, Greece. So all those things were also helpful and formative as I come into this new role here, where the U.S. Veterans Chamber of Commerce is both taking care of people on the one hand, mm-hmm, and helping roll out business chambers to give business opportunity to our veterans out there on the other.
So let's dive into this. United States Veterans Chamber of Commerce. I mean, most people think of a chamber, like a city chamber or something, a place where maybe once a month you have, or a couple times a month you have some type of network luncheon, something like that. I mean, explain to the listeners, what is the Veterans Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah. Great question, and a great start point, because you can associate some of those things that you think of when you think of your local Chamber of Commerce to what we're doing, because the idea is to create that network or thicken that network of business to business or business to customer engagements. But obviously, by virtue of the fact that the word veteran is inserted in the title, and by virtue of what we're doing beyond just the standard chamber business, the U.S. Veterans Chamber of Commerce is laser focused on providing opportunities to vets. In the world of small business, there are agencies out there that try to open the door to those diversity and inclusion folks that are in a variety of corporate headquarters around the planet. But frankly, by title, and then with the title leading their efforts, most of them are focused on, and rightly so, but they're focused on minorities and women, right, and getting minority businesses and women-owned business enterprises those opportunities that those diversity and inclusion officers at Aetna or Lockheed or Raytheon or Ford Motor Company, they've got to meet some mandated goals for providing business opportunities to minority and women-owned businesses. but nobody's really ringing that bell hard on the veteran front. And that's where we come in and try to create those opportunities through our network of 200 plus Fortune 500 affiliated companies, and the 100,000 or so veteran-owned businesses that we're working with right now. And we just want that to continue to grow.
Nice. Folks, first off, if you're listening to the show, it means you're already online. Open up another browser. Go to USVCC.org. That's USVCC.org. Check it out. You can become a member. Start a chamber. There's a donate button there. They are 501c3, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Kevin?
That's correct, yeah.
And you guys got some. So I'm on the website right now. Just very briefly, I see these 5 pillars. Do you want to go over that real quick?
Yeah. So the chamber is, first of all, to reinforce something that you said. It is right now a 501c3, and we have a number of things that we're doing on that front. We'll get into some of that here as we go. But we are also growing towards being a 501c6 business league as these chambers roll out. We're not at critical mass yet where we can make that jump. So for the time being, we are a nonprofit, and we work under sponsorships and donations, corporate level sponsorships, local affiliate sponsorships, and donations. And before I go into the pillars, let's stick with that 501c3 thing just for a second.
Yeah.
One of the main things we're doing right now from a fundraising standpoint is helping our nation's servicemen and women that are engaged in adaptive sports. And some folks might not know exactly what that means. Essentially, that is, everyone thinks of Paralympics and wheelchair-bound athletes, right? That's a good start point for understanding, but it's more than just that. There's seated cycling and rowing and a variety of things. We are probably the only nonprofit that is singularly focused on that population of men and women that are performing at a high level across 10 to 14 different adaptive sports, both in the Warrior Games, which is the inter-service games that are conducted here in the United States every year, mm-hmm. and the international Invictus Games inspired by Prince Harry, or I guess I just have to call him Harry now, right? He's still involved. The Crown has given him this responsibility. He created this. It's a great thing. And so he's still involved. Our U.S. athletes biennially participate in those games. 65 go, just the best of the best from each of the services.
Wow.
And we are involved in ensuring that they have a cost-free and effective training camp before they head off to those Invictus Games. And then down the road, we are currently strategically trying to align the United States for a bid to have the Invictus Games held back here in the United States. So that's the nonprofit side. So if you want to point folks at the website, that's what they're supporting right now.
That's awesome. Again, USVCC.org. I want to back up just a second because you brought up the Warrior Games, which put on also by the Department of Defense. So it's got the military warriors in the games themselves, hence the term Warrior Games. Where is that this year, 2020? And you talked about how the chamber is getting involved to help prepare them for the games, for the Invictus Games and whatnot. What does that entail? Like, how long is that training? Yeah.
Well, to your first question, it's this year's Warrior Games will be in San Antonio in September. And we will be down there and involved in helping out with that. The services, the Department of Defense has cycled responsibility for the Warrior Games over the years, from the Marine Corps to the Army, the Air Force, the Navy. SOCOM, Special Operations Command, had a whack at it. And now this year it's back to the Marine Corps again. And so we have been engaged, and I'm fairly certain, other than our great friends at the Fisher House Foundation, who are always involved in everything and doing great stuff for everybody. Other than them, I think it's fair to say that we're the only nonprofit organization that's stayed engaged in that effort throughout that entire cycle in one form or another. And so obviously as we go forward, that's even as we build our chambers of commerce and start working on the pillars that we still have to get back to in this conversation, we will keep on doing this work, supporting our wounded warriors that are out there participating in those games. So September in San Antonio for the Warrior Games, and then the Invictus Games training camp is going to be held in April to May of this year. It's going to be held at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. And that is a result of a partnership we've struck with the great folks at the Hall of Fame. They've got great facilities there, playing fields. I mean, you think of one of those, high end, there's kids with lacrosse sticks everywhere and soccer balls, and they're on 8 different fields. They've got those assets. They've got a swimming pool. They've got access to great gold jacket Hall of Fame athletes who can provide inspiration and coaching to our athletes. And of course, they've got access to the national media platform that is all things NFL. So it's a great partnership we have with them. A lot of lift to the organization, along with great sponsors like Geico and Caliber Home Loans, CBS, Aetna, is going to make this thing be what it is. But there's never enough that we can do, right? So we're still taking donations and supporting that effort, because it's about 2 weeks that they spend there in Canton before we give them a final send-off dinner on the evening of May 4th. And the next day they're on a plane to The Hague, and they'll be in the Netherlands however many days later it takes to get there, winning medals and representing the United States.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So we're going to go back to the 5 pillars real briefly. Education, employment, wellness, business, family. Just hit on each of those really quick. How did you guys why those 5 pillars?
Well, so, look, all of your veteran listeners out there have, and I'm sure they're going to chuckle as we start to talk about it. And it's just one of those things, right? In our world, we've been made to sit in mandatory briefings and presentations on everything under the sun, and transition is one of those things. Yeah. And I can speak directly from my Army experiences, but I'm pretty certain DoD has mapped it pretty similar across all the services. 12 months out from the end of your term of service, 12 months out from ETS, you start this program, and you have this cycle of briefings and presentations and resume prep and school prep and things that you go through. But the fact of the matter is, when you throw your boots up over the wire and hit the gate, right, and you actually leave that installation, all that transition stuff that you did stays there at Fort Sleepy Town, and you go home to wherever you're going home to, Wyoming, Alaska, Texas, the Bronx. Where is that continued touch for transition once you get back to where you're actually transitioning to? Right. And so our contention is that's what our regional Veterans Chambers of Commerce are providing, is we're rolling these things out. We've got 41 in the pipeline right now. 27 of those are super active conversations. A dozen of them will be up and have affiliate agreements signed probably within the next 2 or 3 months. So it's rolling fast. Wow. And there will be one near you soon, and you can go to the website and either join one or start one. Contact us if you think you've got the right group of 2 or 3 folks that can get this thing running, and we can help you get your own Veterans Chamber of Commerce running. And then to the pillars, those are the things that those are just a baseline of things that we'll be able to provide in that Veterans Chamber of Commerce. So as an example, under the education pillar, right now, and this is without there even being a local regional chamber in your hometown, we are partnered with Damon John from Shark Tank. And Damon has an online, I believe it's 12 lesson. I've started it myself. I haven't finished it yet, so I can't tell you exactly how many lessons right off the top of my head. Entrepreneurial boot camp online. And it's a $2,500 value, and we've got 300 scholarships for free presentation. We've got 244 folks enrolled right now, and that's everything from active to veteran to spouses that are taking part in this thing. So when they finish this, they've got in their toolbox now advice, guidance, and mentorship from Damon John from Shark Tank about the things they should be looking at when they're building their business, pitching their business, and growing their business. So that's just one example of what's on the education pillar in our world. Under employment, we're partnered with a great organization called Be a Hero, Hire a Hero. Mm-hmm. Right now on our site, from our site, you can go in there, post a resume. Businesses can go in there and post available jobs, and we're creating that network where folks can look for employment. Under wellness, We've got some service dog partners that are part of our world. We're partnered very recently. You won't find it on the website yet, but we're partnered very recently with Camp Southern Ground down in Georgia, which is Zach Brown Band's foundation has stood that place up. They do a couple of retreats a year for veterans and for family members. And you can gain access under the wellness pillar to the National Resource Directory, which provides you access to all of the vetted and approved services for veterans. So you're not out here just hunting around looking at everybody who wants to put something on the internet. These are nationally approved programs and resources for vets.
Okay.
Under business, really it goes back to what we've already talked about the actual chambers and getting folks joined up to a chamber so that they can get access to capital, so that they can get training for entrepreneurship, so that they can gain access to those corporate businesses that are looking for and want to be able to sign a contract with a veteran for their goods or services that they're providing. And you can find a mentor under the business pillar currently on our website. And then under family, it kind of cycles back to the wellness programs that we have and the partnerships that we're building. And also, something as simple yet important as a home loan from Caliber Home Loans, because at the end of the day, that's, that safe and secure place to live, good employment.
Right.
All of this talk that we've all had, this conversation we've had with each other over the years about resilience and wellness. Listen, if you take the Maslow's hierarchy of needs and we make our veterans have a safe place to live with a good income, in a job where they feel like they count, then we've gone a long way to fixing a lot of things. That's what we're up to.
It really sounds like the USVCC is a place where everybody, if you're transitioning or getting ready to transition, I'd say before you transition out of the military, this is something that you really need to start looking into and get yourself involved with. Kevin, how many chambers are you say that are getting ready to come up online?
Yeah, we've got about 41 in the pipeline. Those are ongoing conversations with folks that we're working with them to make sure they understand the charter, what the business proposition is, and so those will eventually, result in us having chambers in all those locations. Over the next couple of months along the Eastern Seaboard, there will be about 12 or 15 that'll actually be up and running and functional.
Now, this may sound like an ignorant question, so forgive me ahead of time, but the chambers themselves, do you have a plan for how many you're going to put in each state, or is there like a goal for that? It's like, no, we're going to have 50, one in each state, or we're going to have 100, two in each state, something like that, or we're going to put as many as people need or want in those areas?
All those things you just said.
Okay. All right.
It wasn't a silly question at all, because it will be demand driven and we will see how this goes. But certainly at a minimum, we do want to get it networked throughout the entire United States. We want to touch every state.
Gotcha.
But as you know, just like with delegates to the Congress, or anything else, look at us in New England, right?
Right.
The states of New England aren't half as big as the state of California all by itself. So we have actually a New England chamber stood up right now, constituting access to all of the states here in New England. But there will be things such as the Northern California and Southern California regional chambers. We're gonna have to sort that out. But kind of to the end of how you laid it out, it's going to be demand driven for the time being.
Perfect. Folks, again, if you're online, or if you're listening to the show, that means you're online already, open up another browser and go to USVCC.org. It's the United States Veterans Chamber of Commerce. We're talking with President and CEO, Mr. Kevin Brown, about the chamber. And if you are a veteran, or if you're active duty right now, getting ready to transition in the next 18 months, 12 to 18 months, or you're currently a veteran and you want to get involved with the chamber, they have a lot of great resources and a lot of tools. They're doing a lot of things for our warriors and what we call our nation's heroes and whatnot. There's no reason that you shouldn't be a part of this, quite frankly. Find one. If there's not one in your area, hey, great opportunity to reach out to them and start one. Start a chamber
That's right.
in your area. Kevin, I got another question I want to ask you. It's a question I ask everybody. that comes on the show. You're on the show called The Decision Hour. And we want to know, name a time in your life where your feet were on the line and you had to make that decision. What was it? And what was the atmosphere like for you at that time?
You know, Adam, you and I have sort of had these kinds of conversations before, and I'm a storyteller, and we have about 4 minutes, right?
We're good. Don't worry about time.
All right. There are a lot of times that I can reflect on, and I just got to shoot straight and tell you that they all come while deployed. I mean, the crucible of combat, and I'm not even talking about, you know, there I was, middle of a firefight, hand grenade pins stacking up all around me, right? Not even that kind of stuff, but just the difficult and dangerous circumstances that you face and the kinds of decisions that you have to make. There are 3 moments in time that come immediately to mind, and we'll cycle through them if we can get through them all, or not. But the first one, it sort of centers around a dynamic that, and this is Heroes Media Group. Like I think I understand your clientele, and I can shoot straight here, right?
Absolutely.
We all called it kill TV, right?
Yeah.
Watching the drone, watching the live feed from actions on the objective, and everybody gets kind of hyped or hyper focused on what's going on. And so on this particular evening, the night shift is on in the TOC, and not a lot's going on. It's kind of quiet out there in sector. All of a sudden, one of the folks from the intel section runs up to me and says, "Sir, we've got IED in place. They're digging in an IED on route whatever, Cherry." So I walk into the TOC. I look at kill TV, right? The feed. I look at the live feed, and it looks like there are 4 or 5 people. And for those that have watched it, I mean, there are various levels of fidelity in the feed that you get. Some it's crystal clear from 10,000 feet. Some, it's something's flying at 250 feet and you can't even tell if it's a human or a dog, right? It's different levels of fidelity. The fidelity here wasn't too bad. You could make out 5 or 6 folks, look like perhaps military-aged males, as we say, digging an IED in right in the center of the road. And everyone just wanted to throw a 500-pound bomb. Like, let's just do it. Let's just do it. And I don't know what it was, but something told me, like, I could see it happening. You have to separate yourself from the hype and not get caught up in it. So I said, "Where's the nearest mounted patrol?" And they said, "Well, Bushmaster has one, sir. They're about 5K away, 3 miles. And it's going to take them probably about 15 minutes to get turned around, head that direction, get down there in the dark, under nods, whatever." So I said, "Send them down there." And everyone was disappointed. Like, well, why don't we just drop a bomb on the middle of the road? And, and then well, what if they come under fire? I'm like, well, that's why they have up armored Humvees, 50 cals, and Mark 19 grenade launchers on the roof. Send a patrol. So they did. They sent a patrol down there, and you could almost feel the wah-wah and the talk, like, oh man, now it's gonna happen. And they roll up on these 4 or 5 folks, and it's 4 or 5 kids playing marbles in the middle of the road, dirt road. And
that makes your hair stand up on the arms and back of your neck right there.
Just one of those times where I think, and that's a combat scenario, but I think in life, right?
Yeah.
Every now and then you have to take what I used to like to call a mental moment, whether you pinch the bridge of your nose and close your eyes, or take a deep breath and walk away from everyone for a second. You can usually afford to take a second or 15 seconds or 5 minutes to make sure that you're making the right decision in a lot of instances where everyone around you is saying, we got to make this decision right now. And I think you just need to find that mental moment, create that space and really ensure that you assess and reassess all the things that are going on around you. Hal Moore in We Were Soldiers Once and Young used to say it, and I probably won't get it right, but ask yourself these 3 questions. What am I doing that I should not be doing? What am I not doing that I should be doing? and I'll be damned, I always forget the third one, but it essentially is, what don't I know that I should know?
Right.
And, it's a good construct, right? I mean, it's simple, but it's a good construct. You spend just whether you have a second to do it or 15 minutes to do it or a day to do it, you should take that time, ask yourself those 3 questions before you really lock in on a decision.
That's a good one, Kevin. I appreciate you sharing that.
Right on.
Any parting words? Anything else you want the listeners to know about you, about USVCC? What?
Yeah. Well, look, man, here we are, right? Me, you, and all the people that listen to this, and what we know is that is we as veterans got to stick it out and stick together. Yep. I mean, we are the ones who are going to lift each other up and keep each other going. And there's never a reason that any of us should not feel comfortable reaching out to another one of us. I mean, that's just sort of at the core of what we're doing in the U.S. Veterans Chamber of Commerce. We just got some good stuff going on that can make that turn into something. And if we can create, 5 or 10 or 100 small business owners that are veterans over the course of this next year, that's awesome. If we can save one life, that's even better. Right. But we are here as the U.S. Veterans Chamber of Commerce to support our veterans and help them through transition to be in a place where they're comfortable going forward and can help the next guy or girl coming down the line.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Kevin, thank you.
Right on. Good to be on.
Absolutely. Folks, United States Veterans Chamber of Commerce, check it out, USVCC.org. That's all the time that we have, but before we let you go, make sure you got to give a shout out to our home network, Heroes Media Group. Check out all the shows, articles, new stuff that they got coming out here in the next month or so. Simply go to www.heroesmediagroup.com. Until next time, you've been listening to The Decision Hour.